He had just been promoted to deputy company commander when he shaved his head, because a promotion on the eve of battle meant that survival was unlikely. Shaving his head would make it easier for wounds to be bandaged and treated. At that moment, several soldiers crowded around, demanding that the deputy company commander treat them. Without a word, the man took out a large 10 yuan bill. 10 yuan. Wow, I don't have that. Then he pulled out a pack of Wazi cigarettes, crushed the packet, and casually tossed it aside. Ah, the man wasn't actually well off. He did this simply because he wanted to live it up one last time before death. Don't worry, I'll die in a way worthy of the deputy company commander's position. The always frugal company commander also, for once, bought 2 bottles of good liquor. The 2 men stayed up all night, making their final farewells in advance. Martyrs' Cemetery. This is widely recognized by Chinese audiences as China's best war film. It is also the only Chinese language film on the list of the world's top 100 war movies, with a rating of 9.5 on a certain site. The reason it is hailed as a classic among classics by countless people isn't because of its spectacular battle scenes, but because it is sufficiently real and sincere. The story begins on the eve of the 1979 counterattack and self-defense against Vietnam. In a certain military district in southwest China, the 9th Company welcomed a new political instructor. This man was named Zhao Mengsheng, born into a high-ranking cadre family. He was a spoiled princeling through and through. His assignment to this border defense company was entirely arranged by his mother. Just a formality to gain some credentials. He only needed to put on an act and endure a few months here before returning to get some official post in a major department. Unaware of this, Company Commander Liang Sanxi took it seriously. Everyone, don't have any misunderstandings. Political instructor Zhao is not here for a temporary assignment to gain experience. Nor is he here to experience life. He has been formally appointed by the organization as the political instructor of our 9th Company. From now on, everyone must consult and report to him more often on matters. However, the inherently pampered Zhao Mengsheng soon revealed his true colors. Not only did he sleep until the sun was high every day, he also had the orderly make his bed and squeeze toothpaste for him. Instructor, it's 7:30. While the soldiers were out on patrol, he leisurely read magazines and ate chocolates alone in his room. When his comrades returned, he immediately hid the chocolates in a drawer, then took out 2 packs of cigarettes from another drawer. He secretly kept the expensive Wazi for himself and used the cheap Dakiangmen to reward everyone. Instructor, have a smoke. Not bad, eh? Brothers, soon. His performance during daily training was even more embarrassing. After just a few steps, he was panting from exhaustion and dumped all his gear on the orderly. The soldiers all saw it, but didn't dare speak up. Only cannon platoon leader Jin Kailai made indirect remarks. Look at you. Look at that lazy attitude of yours. 3 days if I don't make you shit your pants in 3 days. My name isn't Jin Kailai. The conflict between the two intensified during a meal. One day, all the soldiers were eating with gusto, while only Zhao Mengsheng looked at the steamed bun with disdain, picking at it. At that moment, a soldier named Wang Yugua happened to come over to cozy up to him. Zhao Mengsheng 随手, casually without thinking, handed the bun to him. But Wang Yugua couldn't eat that much either, so he secretly gave it to old Jin, who knew old Jin wouldn't indulge any nonsense. With a slap of his big hand, he returned the bun to Zhao Mengsheng. This finally angered Zhao Mengsheng. Seeing the tension at the table rising, Company Commander Sanxi quickly picked up the bun and ate it himself. This move of his seemed to be giving Zhao Mengsheng a way out, but it was actually also protecting old Jin. He and old Jin were comrades for many years. He knew the other's character was blunt, but he was a first-rate soldier. Old Jin, if there's anything stinky about him, it's that mouth of his. Several times in our company, we proposed promoting him to deputy company commander, but higher-ups just wouldn't approve. Yeah, that's obvious. On the other hand, old Jin laid his cards on the table with Sanxi. The reason he targeted Zhao Mengsheng so much wasn't just because he couldn't stand his behavior. More importantly, it was because of Sanxi. It turned out Sanxi's wife was about to give birth, and the regiment headquarters had long approved his home leave. He thought he could go home once the new instructor arrived, but they had to send this utterly incompetent son of rich parents, playboy, making him hesitant to leave. The matter of going home was delayed again and again. I've seen through it all. Even if you poured your heart out, you still couldn't keep him here. Hearing this, Sanxi's heart was touched. Persuaded by his comrades, he finally decided to put work aside and go home on leave. For this, old Jin not only bought his train ticket in advance, but also took off his own leather shoes and exchanged them for Sanxi's worn-out cloth shoes. Although Sanxi was a company commander, this was the first time in his life he wore leather shoes, and his joy was instantly evident on his face. However, Zhao Mengsheng couldn't be happy at that moment because he had just received a letter from his mother. The words between the lines were filled with extreme urgency. Mengsheng, regarding the matter of your transfer, I have already secured an agreement. It is promised to be handled accordingly. Once you receive the transfer order, you must leave the company as soon as possible. According to reliable information, your army will soon have major action. This is top secret. Just keep it in mind yourself. Do not spread it upward or randomly. Zhao Mengsheng immediately went to check the recent newspapers and saw extensive media coverage of the Sino-Vietnamese border clashes. It seemed his mother's words were true. A major battle was imminent. Zhao Mengsheng's heart was instantly filled with fear and anxiety. At that moment, he happened to run into Sanxi, who mentioned going home on leave. Naturally, he couldn't let Sanxi go, so he deliberately responded in a sarcastic, ambiguous tone. Go ahead then. Sanxi immediately sensed something was wrong. He couldn't help but ask about some rumors he'd heard recently. A while ago I heard. This time when I went to the regiment for a meeting, I heard some gossip about you again. They say you came down to the company to gain credentials. ... Seeing that his secret was about to be exposed, Zhao Mengsheng didn't know how to answer, so he pretended to be angry to brush it off. Whether you take leave or not is up to you. As for people gossiping about me, humph, tongues are long. They can say whatever they want with their own mouths. Anyway, the organization hasn't transferred me away yet. Zhao Mengsheng's abnormal behavior alerted Sanxi. He immediately looked at that day's newspaper, and indeed found that the Sino-Vietnamese border clashes were escalating, combining the fact that Zhao Mengsheng's mother had been frequently calling the division headquarters recently. Sanxi immediately realized that war was probably really coming. When old Jin retrieved the train ticket from the station, Sanxi had already decided not to go back for now. After all, with a major battle approaching, compared to his own small family, the army and the country needed him more. At that moment, Zhao Mengsheng happened to pass by the door. The angry old Jin saw him and deliberately shouted towards the window. Damn it! As long as the Communist Party holds power, if that old lady dares to transfer you, this playboy, back right when the troops are heading to the front lines, just see if I don't go to Beijing at my own expense to report her. My name isn't Jin Kailai. Things turned out as Sanxi expected. Soon, the company received orders to move out, telling them to pack up and depart that very day. They didn't even have time to eat the pork they had just bought. Meanwhile, through his mother's behind-the-scenes manipulations, Zhao Mengsheng finally received his transfer order. With battle imminent, the political instructor was about to flee on the eve of war. The usually good-tempered Sanxi could no longer hold back. Are the over 100 men of our 9th company a joke? But even so, Zhao Mengsheng still refused to stay. He dropped his previous pretense and begged Sanxi to let him leave. Let me go. Please, ... double quotes, who is your comrade? You scum. Get out of here right now. Company commander, ... get lost. Right now, get lost immediately. The company commander is right. Back when educated youth were being sent down, you were all afraid of going to the countryside and crowded into the army. Now that you feel it's hard, you're trying with all your might to get back to the big cities. We train troops for 1,000 days to be used in one moment. That moment is now. If it's mine, it's also yours. At that moment, the bugle sounded outside. Perhaps moved by Sanxi's words, or perhaps out of shame, Zhao Mengsheng ultimately decided to set out with the company. Boarding the train heading south, along the way, his face was pale. His spirits seemed gone, and he didn't eat a bite. At the critical moment, old Jin had to step in. Brothers, can you eat, drink? On the battlefield, bullets don't have eyes. If we die, let's not be hungry ghosts. He then said. Not long after, the troops finally arrived at the border. They saw nearby houses and schools already bombed into ruins. The enemy had built numerous bunkers on the hilltops, their gun barrels long since aimed at us. 200 billion raised the wolf cub. Damn it, I'll show you how to eat it. Go in and teach them a lesson. Meanwhile, troops from various military regions were also advancing towards the front lines. In charge of this Operation was the Thunder God, known as Commander Lei. But just as he was busily deploying operations, a private call suddenly came into the command post. The caller was none other than Zhao Mengsheng's mother. She had once saved Commander Lei's life. Relying on this favor, she asked Commander Lei to transfer her son to the rear. Commander Lei listened without responding, just fiercely hanging up the phone. That night, he stormed to the front of the army battle array and gave a pre-battle mobilization to all the soldiers. Comrades, now, war is about to begin again. My thousands of troops and horses are about to go kill the enemy, risking their lives and shedding blood. But right at this moment, something strange and bizarre happened in my army. There is this immensely powerful noble lady. Amazing, truly amazing. She actually had the ability to get a call through to my forward command post from thousands of miles away. I think comrades all know. At this critical moment, my phone line is worth every second, every minute, worth a fortune. What did she call for? To ask me to take care of her son. To ask me to transfer her son to the rear. Treating my command post like a trading house. Damn it. Using backdoors, they even reached this blood-shedding battlefield. Who exactly is her son? This person was originally a clerk in the army headquarters. Right now, he is a political instructor in a certain company of your division. I don't care if she's the wife of the god of heaven or the madam of the king of hell. Whoever dares to use backdoors to reach the battlefield, I will make sure her son is the first to carry the explosive. Charge the enemy's bunker. Applause erupted around him immediately, like loud slaps fiercely striking Zhao Mengsheng's face. Soon, his glorious deeds spread throughout the entire unit. Various mockery, ridicule, teasing kept coming. Even Duan Yuguo, who had always curried favor with him, started making sarcastic remarks. Don't look at me, Duan Yuguo, as not much. I'm also willing to shed blood to serve the motherland. But a despicable deserter cannot be tolerated. Zhao Mengsheng finally couldn't bear it anymore. Although he cherished his life like gold, he wasn't entirely without face. In front of the entire company, he hysterically laid down the tough words. From now on, if anyone dares to say Zhao Mengsheng is cravenly cling to life and fear death, I'll meet him with bayonet's blood. Is he a hero or a coward? We'll see on the battlefield. From this moment, Zhao Mengsheng finally began his transformation. Next, Sanxi announced an order. Superior has decided to promote Jin II, Deputy Company Commander of the 9th Company. The soldiers immediately applauded in congratulations. But Jin's face was grave at this moment. He deeply knew that this kind of promotion on the eve of battle meant what? Although he had long since disregarded personal danger, when it truly came to the moment of life and death, he after all couldn't let go of his wife and child back home. To facilitate bandaging and treatment for the soldiers, Jin shaved his head. Company Commander Sanxi did the same. The two exchanged a bitter smile, understanding each other without words. Due to the arduous task, Superior assigned 15 additional combat personnel to the 9th Company. One smaller soldier from Beijing caught Sanxi's attention. Although he looked like a young scholar, his confidence was complete. He had even shaved his head in advance before coming. From a Beijing unit, yes. Learning that they were going to the battlefield the next day, the cook squad leaders specially made dumplings for the 9th Company that night. Everyone gathered around the table eating their last dinner in the motherland. Zhao Mengsheng also brought out the privately hidden red wine he had. I haven't tried that stuff. Humph. Something women drink. These words stung Zhao Mengsheng's heart again. He picked up the red wine and smashed it to pieces, drawing a clear line completely with his former self. This action stunned everyone present. Jin saw it, walked over, and patted his shoulder. Instructor, let's not mention past matters anymore. I won't bring them up, and I won't allow you to either. Come on. The two shook hands, made peace, stood up, and clinked glasses. Reconciling in a man's way. Late at night, the soldiers had all dispersed. Only Sanxi and Jin remained at the dining table. According to the operational plan, the 9th Company, as the spearhead company, needed to carry out a penetration task. Commander Lei had already said he would make Zhao Mengsheng lead the vanguard. Jin deeply knew the extreme danger of this mission. He couldn't bear to let the inexperienced instructor go to his death. He earnestly requested Sanxi to let him lead the team instead. He has education. Studying all those years wasn't easy. Besides, he's new here. But before he could finish, Sanxi interrupted him. It turned out Sanxi had already made arrangements He himself would personally lead the penetration team the next day. Old Jin immediately objected upon hearing this. I say, Brother Sanxi, this Jin Kailai has 4 brothers in his family. If one dies, there are still 3. The ancestral graves won't lack for incense smoke. But you, Liang Sanxi, that's not the case. Your 2 older brothers are both gone. You have an old mother, you have Yuxiu, and you have that little one who hasn't been born yet. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. However, Sanxi was determined. He hoped old Jin would survive, not just because of their friendship, but more importantly for the country. When it comes to fighting the enemy, I'm not afraid. But when it comes to daring to voice opinions, to opening fire against those crooked ways within our own ranks, you are much braver than I am. I hope to preserve you, this big cannon. The next morning, the counterattack in self-defense against Vietnam officially began. The battlefield was instantly filled with the roar of artillery fire and pervading smoke. Under enemy firepower suppression, Sanxi led the 9th Company arduously forward, as the vanguard force thrusting into the enemy's heart. They had to reach the designated location within the stipulated time. However, the mountains were densely forested. The soldiers took up machetes, and with great difficulty, hacked open a path. But the regiment headquarters still thought they were too slow, constantly urging them to speed up. They only know how to measure maps with a ruler. Let them come see this mountain, these paths. Are they meant for people to walk? Are they meant for people to climb? Company commander, less of that complaining, to ensure they completed the task on time. Sanxi ordered everyone to discard part of the supplies and proceed light. Apart from weapons and ammunition, each person could only keep dry rations for 2 meals and a canteen of water. At that moment, Sanxi discovered that the soldier called Little Beijing had hidden a book. He initially thought it was some boring novel, but upon looking, found it was actually on war. Can you understand this? Report, Company Commander. I can recite the main chapters. Lo Beijing said his dream was to become a marshal. Looking at this young and tender yet confident young man, Sanxi's heart held much more anticipation. Big brother, give it to me. Don't let our future marshal be crushed. For now, I'm still your soldier. The next day at dawn, the 9th Company finally arrived at the designated location according to plan. After a brief rest, they launched an assault on the enemy position. Since the enemy held the high ground, even with a surprise attack, the fighting was extremely brutal. The orderly who had always taken care of Zhao Mengsheng was unfortunately hit by a bullet while charging. His legs were instantly blown to a bloody mess. After several hours of fighting, the 9th Company finally managed to capture that position. However, the sight before them filled everyone with indignation and hatred. They saw that on the enemy's position were not only piles of rice and dry rations gifted by our country, but even the machine guns and ammunition they used were those we had aided them with. This truly confirmed old Jin's words. Spent 200 billion to raise wolf cubs. As the 9th Company, this sharp blade, continued to thrust deeper. Multiple enemy positions were breached, but follow-up support troops were delayed. Soon they faced a severe lack of water. If we don't get water soon, the entire unit will be wiped out. Seeing that soldiers were fainting one after another from thirst, old Jin decided to go down the mountain to cut some sugarcane. Zhao Mengsheng wanted to go along, but old Jin stopped him with a gesture. Having you say that is enough. Doing something wrong shouldn't be done by you political officers. Anyway, this Jin Kailai is already famous for having no political mind. I don't believe, damn it, that 200 billion can't even exchange for a stalk of his sugarcane. Squad, prepare. Come with me, let's go. Wreaths, at the foot of the mountain, employs its profound implications to deliver sharp satire and metaphor regarding certain social issues of its time. Satire of bureaucracy. For instance, Zhao Mengsheng's mother leverages connections to orchestrate her son's transfer from the army, reflecting how bureaucratic practices interfere with the military's normal order. It satirizes privileged groups using improper means to seek personal gain, thereby undermining principles of fairness and justice. Critique of unhealthy practices within the military. Through the depiction of certain plotlines, the film metaphorically highlights undesirable phenomena within the army, such as some individuals pursuing comfort and shirking responsibility. This stands in stark contrast to the bravery, selflessness, and dedication of soldiers like Liang Sanxi and Jin Kailai, emphasizing the despicable nature of such malpractices. Revelation of distorted social values. The recurring motif of the wreath serves both as a hero's medal and a metaphor for the hero system. Beneath, the tombstones covered with flowers lie not only lives lost but also an alienated value system. This 暗示 hints issues within the social values of the time where heroes shed blood and tears, while some unreasonable phenomena remained uncorrected. Exposure of accumulated malpractices from a specific era. Jin Kailai's furious exclamation, "We spent 20 billion raising these wolf cubs," combined with scenes of soldiers discovering Chinese supplies stockpiled in Vietnamese bunkers, alludes to potential problems in the implementation of foreign aid policies at the time and the complex circumstances behind them. This reflects the absurdities that existed during that particular historical period. Wreaths at the foot of the mountain. Wreaths at the foot of the mountain is a profound and poignant film that transcends the boundaries of a conventional war movie. Its greatness lies in using a company on the front line as a microcosm to courageously and sincerely reflect various realistic issues confronting the Chinese military and even the whole society in the early stage of the reform and opening up. Here are the core realistic problems it reflects. 1. Privilege mentality and backdoor practices within the military. This is one of the sharpest conflicts in the film. Representative figure Zhao Mengsheng and his mother Wu Shuang. Specific manifestations. As the son of a senior cadre, Zhao Mengsheng was only stationed in the company for a circuitous transfer. He treated the military as a stepping stone, lacking a sense of responsibility and mission. Before the war, his mother pulled strings and directly called the front line to get her son transferred out through backdoor means, which severely undermined the fundamental military principle of officers and soldiers being equal, sharing life and death together. Reflected reality. It criticizes the unhealthy tendency that some children of cadres and the privileged class prioritized personal interests over national and people's interests after the end of the Cultural Revolution, exposing the erosion and challenges facing military development. 2. The great contrast between lofty ideals and ordinary reality. Instead of creating perfect and flawless heroes, the film presents flesh and blood, ordinary people who even have flaws. Representative figure Zhao Mengsheng. Specific manifestations. He transformed from a privileged deserter who only wanted to be transferred back to the rear to a fearless warrior after being baptized by his comrades' blood and sacrifices. This transformation process profoundly shows that heroes are not born, but forged in harsh environments and a spirit of collectivism. Reflected reality. It breaks the myth of heroes, returns to human nature, and explores how individualism can be sublimated into collectivism and patriotism in extreme circumstances. 3. The arduous living conditions of officers, soldiers, and farmers. The film unflinchingly shows the real living conditions of the underlying military and civilians in China at that time, especially the economic poverty. Representative figure Liang Sanxi and his family. Specific manifestations. After company commander Liang Sanxi sacrificed, he left an IOU, his elderly mother and wife. Yuxiu traveled a long way to the army and repaid all his debts in full with the pension and the money from selling pigs. This plot is extremely shocking. Reflected reality. Poverty of military personnel. Soldiers who defended their country lived in such straitened circumstances that they even had to borrow money to make ends meet. Tenacity and integrity of farmers. Grandma Liang and Yuxiu represent the simplest Chinese farmers. Despite the great pain of losing their loved one, they still adhered to the traditional integrity of debts must be repaid, even if the debtor passes away. This noble character forms a sharp contrast with Wu Shuang's backdoor practices, praising the noble sentiments of the underlying people, touching on and reflecting on historical scars. Through a supporting role, the film subtly touches on a grander historical tragedy. Representative figure Jin Kailai. Specific manifestations. Jin Kailai was upright and fond of complaining. He was repeatedly denied promotion because he dared to speak his mind. He finally stepped on a landmine and died while cutting sugarcane to quench the soldiers' thirst. Yet he failed to be awarded a medal after the war for violating discipline. This ending is full of pathos and irony. Reflected reality. It criticizes the bureaucratic and dogmatic evaluation system, pointing out that those who have made practical contributions to the country and people may not receive due honor because of being politically incorrect. He triggers people to think deeply about fairness and justice. 5. The inheritance and contrast of the spirits of children of high-ranking military families and children of peasant families. The film sets up two clear clues: Zhao Mengsheng representing children of high-ranking military families, and Liang Sanxi representing children of peasant families. Specific manifestations. Liang Sanxi inherited the tenacity, responsibility, integrity, and spirit of sacrifice of traditional Chinese farmers. His relic was an IOU, and his last words were about repaying debts initially lost in privilege. Zhao Mengsheng finally found the soul of a soldier and completed his spiritual redemption and inheritance under the inspiration of peasant-born heroes like Liang Sanxi and Jin Kailai. Reflected reality. The film seems to explore who the real backbone of the country is, and the answer points to the broad masses of people who silently contribute and carry the simplest virtues of the nation.